and welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Joining me in the studio today is my co-pilot, Andy Groft. Andy, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Kyle. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you.
Andy, you know this. You know that the Huntsman World Senior Games is the largest annual multi-sport event in the world.
That's right.
For athletes age 50 and over. It's the largest event in the entire world that takes place on an annual basis for senior athletes. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
It's an amazing, amazing event. When we started out in 1987, we had a couple of hundred athletes, and since then we've grown to basically what we are today, over 10,000 athletes, 28 different sports, representatives from all over the world participating. And one of the reasons we've been so successful over the past 28 years, I believe at least, is because we've stayed true to our founding principles. And in 1987, when John Morgan and his dear wife Daisy came up with this idea, they built it on the principles of fostering worldwide peace, health, and friendship. That's really our mission, right?
Yeah, 3 great goals.
And we spent a lot of time in our office talking about these principles, talking about how to accomplish that. And, of course, there's tons of logistics and details in putting on an event like the Huntsman World Senior Games. But it was true in 1987, and it's still true today. If what we're talking about doesn't foster worldwide peace, health, and friendship, well,
we don't do it.
We just don't do it, right? It's as simple as that. And sometimes we, look for a justification, and it's not there, and we end up not doing it, and sometimes we find it, and we move forward with it. But we really are true, or attempt to be true to those principles of fostering worldwide peace, health, and friendship. And one of the ways that we do that, obviously, is to invite athletes to come and participate in the Huntsman World Senior Games. We invite athletes age 50 and over from all around the United States and all around the world to come to St. George, Utah, and participate in the games, and they come.
Yep,
they come and they compete. They demonstrate a healthy and active lifestyle. They make friends from both near and far, and it's kind of like a reunion when they get together with them every year. And through that interaction, through kind of understanding each other as human beings, we believe that we get one step closer to peace. And it's awesome.
And we see it.
We see it, right? It's an awesome, awesome thing. Another way that we fulfill our mission statement to foster worldwide peace, health, and friendship is through a program that we call the Friendship Tour. Now, a Friendship Tour is where we take athletes from here, from the United States, to other countries for competitions and to build friendships and relationships. Our very first Friendship Tour was in 2010, and we went to China. And that was an amazing, amazing trip. We've been to, since then, South America. We've been to Italy, and I just recently, a few weeks ago, returned from a Friendship Tour to Barbados. So today, our special guest is one of the alumni of one of these Friendship Tours. Joining us by phone from San Jose, California, is Frank Strauss. Frank, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
How are you doing, Frank?
Very good.
Good.
It's a little warm here, but other than that, it's fine.
Well, excellent. You know, it's a little warm here as well, so we're in the same boat. Hey, Frank joined us at the World Masters Games in Torino, Italy. That was the Friendship Tour that he went on with us. And not only did he join us at the games, but he excelled in the track and field events.
He sure did.
He pitted himself against some of the best athletes in the world, and he came home with some hardware to show for his efforts. And it was awesome to be able to be with him and to watch him compete. And again, Frank, we're just we're glad that you can join us today. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, we're going to get into the World Masters Games. We're going to talk a little bit about Italy. But before we get into that, Frank, we want to maybe get to know you just a little bit better. Obviously, we know, Andy and I know you, and we know that you're a track and field athlete. But tell us a little bit about how that began. How did you get into track and field? How did you start competing? And kind of why did you say, hey, this is my sport, and this is how I'm going to do it?
Well, it was surprising to me how I got into track and field myself. It's kind of strange. After I got out of school, I went working for my company at that time was called Applied Technology. And after 40 years of absence from participating in sports, I was considering running for enjoyment. And that's all I was thinking of. Because I felt that I didn't have the energy to do my task at home, and I couldn't even touch my toes. So my wife used to make fun of me. So I said, well, I think I'm going to start running just for for fun, because in high school I had participated in 4 sports: football, wrestling, track, and swimming, all in 1 year, and I did very good in it because I just love sports. So one day I was running in one of the schools, and this coach from San Jose State, his name is Coach Algebright, saw me running, and he says, "Just a minute, let me time you in the 100." So he looked at his stopwatch, and he said to me, "Hey, you can beat half the people in the Masters." And I said, "Well, Master who?" And that's where I went off to the races, just because somebody timed me for a lousy 100-yard dash.
100-meter dash. Wow. So,
yeah.
So you were a 4-sport high school athlete, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Were you a letterman in all 4 of those sports?
Yeah, The strange part about that, when I used to go collect my awards in the auditorium, people would boo me.
What? How come? Why?
They boo me. Because no one could do that except me. So instead of cheering me, they booed me.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah, whatever
Now,
accolades or detractions, right?
I've got to ask, Frank, this is Andy. Did they boo you with tongue-in-cheek, or were these kids from California really bugged that you did all 4 of those sports?
Well, they knew that, and I did something that no one had done in high school before, and finally, when the field directors that overlooked the athletic department, they came down on me that I couldn't participate in 4 sports. So they let me, 1 week I do 1 sport, the next week I do the other. So they put that to a stop.
Wow. So
because they figured it was too much for one individual.
Too much for a student athlete, and to keep up with your studies and those kinds of things too, I would imagine, right?
Yes.
So out of the 4 sports, you said football, wrestling, track and field, and swimming.
Correct.
Which was the one at that time in high school that was your favorite and maybe the one that you were the best at?
Well, I was probably track, wrestling, and football and swimming.
In that order.
Okay.
In that order, yes.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. And I was only, I played varsity ball for 3 years in the high school, and I weighed 135 pounds, and it was about 5'6" at that time. But because of my speed, no one could catch me.
Yeah. Well, you sound like you were built for wrestling for sure, but I think a lot of people might be...
Yes, I was, and I was very strong. I enjoyed that.
Well, and I think people might be surprised that at 5'4", 135, you were still out there on the football field and, excelling in...
Well, they recruited me for college to play football, and I said, no, because those people got matured, and when they would hit you, they hit you hard.
And you felt it.
I bowed out. So I just stayed with, in college, I stayed just with track and wrestling.
So you were actually a 2-sport athlete in college as well.
Yeah,
you left high school.
The whole 4 years of college, yes.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty active, full-plated life there.
I just enjoyed it. In track and field, believe it or not, in high school I would run 5 races. Obviously, I can't do that today, but I ran the 100, the 2, the 4, and sometimes the 8, and then the relay. So when you're young and 18, you can do whatever you want.
That's
you're
right.
invincible.
Not anymore.
So Frank, you did those things, and then I think I've heard, like a lot of people, you had to bow out of sports for a while. You had a profession to move through, and how long were you out of the sporting?
One of the things, sadly, is I had to bow out during my senior year in track because it was just me and my grandmother, and I supported myself through college. Like a lot of people, it's not an isolated case. And my grandmother was very sick, and I didn't think she was going to make it at times. So I had just graduated, and then, of course, she passed away. And I think she was just living just to make sure that I got through college. And there's no way to repay somebody like that. It's sad. So that's why I try to do a lot of good. I go to the colleges and help all the kids that don't have the opportunity. I take their picture, help them write their term papers, and help them study, whatever I can to help these kids.
That's great. Now you said that you bowed out of sports for a while. You had to take care of your family and that type of thing. And at the beginning of the show, you mentioned that you at some point, you were jogging along or running along, and someone convinced you to be competitive.
Coach Albright from San Jose State. He was a coach in cross country.
How old were you when that happened?
Me, but he just helped me along, gave me some tips, advice, and so on.
Yeah,
and that's where from that point I joined the track club at San Jose City College.
And how old were you at that time?
At that time, I was probably 64.
So after a long life of working hard and taking care of your family, at 64, you decided to be competitive again. That's pretty awesome, and I think that's one of the reasons.
It's funny. I started that way, but I couldn't believe. It's like when I was in Torino, ready to run the 400. I looked back, and my mind just flashed down to the years and says, "What am I doing here? How did I get here?" I said, "I'm running for my country." And then all of a sudden I heard the gun go off, and the rest is history. So that's how I got into it.
Tell us a little bit about that. Last year, you were able to go to the World Masters Games in Torino, Italy, and represent the United States there. What got you there, and what was it like? What was your experience in Torino?
Well, it was really the first time that I competed in a World Masters, which became a great experience, meeting so many competitive people in the world, where everybody there is the fastest in their country. And you can't brag about, you're the fastest in the country, because everyone there is the fastest in the country. And this meet here, I guess, motivated me and my wife to go there, because we had never gone to international countries before. And now my wife really enjoys this, because we're going all over. Now, the next time we're going to France and Lyon. But to me, Torino was as close to going to the Olympics because of the enthusiasm of the Italian people in Torino, how they treated you and how they cheered their athletes and our athletes, and lining the streets on both sides, just cheering everybody on. And it was so fascinating that it's just hard to comprehend. And at the same time, so many of my classmates send me emails saying, "Hey, you got to go to Torino." They kind of helped me go into Torino. You got to bring us the goal, run for us. And then I started getting nervous. And then the biggest surprise was one man called me up. His name is Don Bowden. I don't know if you remember him. He was the first American to break the 4-minute mile.
Yeah, right.
And he invited me to his home and told me how to run the race, what to do, and just bring the goal. So the funny part about that, I didn't bring the goal, but your wife, Mindy, took a picture of me with my medal in my mouth, and it came out so good that I made a copy and I sent it to everybody, and I put a statement on there saying, "It's not gold, but bronze tastes good."
It still tastes good. I remember that picture. Mindy, of course, my wife was there, and she took that picture, and that was a fun moment. I think just...
It was fun because everybody was there. You were there. You guys come. You helped us. Even Andy's wife, Heather, helped me find my venue of where I was running. They would just go with you. It was just a memorable time in my life. How many friends became my friends, not really knowing them.
Well, it was an amazing time. And if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life, and we're visiting with Frank Strauss from San Jose, California. He's an internationally successful track and field athlete, and he's just been talking a little bit about his experience at the World Masters Games in Italy. I think it's worth noting for those who may not be familiar with that event that the World Masters Games is an event that happens once every 4 years, and it kind of bounces around to different places. Most recently, last year, it was in Torino, Italy. In 3 years, it'll be in New Zealand, right? Auckland, New Zealand. So
New Zealand, and I can't wait.
Yeah, well, it was a great event, and we had a great time. We were there with a number of athletes from the United States who participated, Frank being one of them. And as someone who was there and watching the event, I can attest that Frank truly represented himself and his country very well, not just on the field of competition, which he did great. You know, he won medals and really proved himself there. But what a classy guy and a class act, and what a lot of fun that we had while we were there. Frank, you know, we've talked a little bit about some of the sports that you were involved in as a youth, and obviously you've kind of focused in on track and field now. What is your favorite event to compete in now that you're in your your senior years and still competing? What is it that you like the most to compete in?
Well, since high school, back then it was called the 440. Now it's called 400 meters. My best race has always been the 400. But since the 200 came after the 400, see, if it comes before, I don't run it. But I have good times in both, so I decided to run the 200 also, and I was just fortunate enough to get two medals for that, and I was so overjoyed that not only one medal but 2 medals.
Yeah. That's great. So just broadening things out maybe a little bit, Frank, you've been around a while. I'm not going to tell you to divulge your age on the show, but just you've been around quite a bit.
It doesn't matter.
But what changes have you seen in health and fitness in your lifetime? Does it seem like things are the same now as they were back in the day, or have things changed, or things different?
Well, when I was at City College, this man came over, an elderly man about my age, and says, you're a pretty good runner, and I'm going to coach you. I said, really? I said, yeah. So he not only got me running, but he got me into yoga, and then going to the gym and going swimming to get prepared for this venture that I had no idea where I was going. He knew, but I didn't. So the exercising that he helped me do, losing my muscles and kept everything working, and I now can even touch my toes. So I can say I'm 73. I have had many compliments on how I look. Some people say you look 65. I don't think so, because I look myself in the mirror and I see my father. So it's just trying to be nice,
Well, Frank, you are
my heart, my bones, my muscles, and even in my mind, I say that you're in touch more with nature and the surroundings, and it alleviates the stress that most of us go through in everyday lives.
Well, that's definitely one of the major benefits of living the active life, of being active and healthy. And it sounds to me like you've seen the progression of kind of just put on your shoes and go out there and run a race and then take a drink of water and you're done, to today there's preparation, there's a lot more cross training, there's maybe a more as you said, a holistic approach to competition rather than just showing up and running and being done. There's kind of a preparation period where you get ready for it, and you mentioned yourself to train for track and field. You find yourself even swimming now as a track and field preparation, and I think tell me what you think, but I think that feels like a better approach to competition and to activity and to an active life. What do you think about that?
Well, everybody thinks, even myself, you're invincible when you start running, but you're not. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to have certain stresses in your muscles, your groins, your your hamstrings, your plantar fasciitis, and if you're not careful and if you don't start slow, my coach had told me before you ever compete, it's going to take a whole year, and you don't believe that, but it's very true. I see it today where so many people, they come out of retirement like I did, and boom, they're at Huntsman going 100 miles an hour, and then you never see them again because they get hurt really bad, and they don't realize the operations that I've seen so many people go through, especially the ankles and the knees.
So what do you do? How do you stay healthy so that you can keep competing in things like the Huntsman World Senior Games?
Well, okay, before one competes in any meet, one has to prepare very slowly. It can be done by, taking classes, going to a gym, jogging, and swimming. Just getting prepared for the next couple months. Most people are out of condition at any age, so preparation is very important. You are now taking your body to a level that isn't ready for. So you have to prevent injuries. Preparation. The injury preparation is very important.
Yeah.
I would recommend that you take a physical and insert a heart monitor upon these endeavors.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was going to ask you, Frank, let's say that I'm, I don't know, 64, 65-year-old man sitting, listening to this radio show and thinking, I'm too old, I could get hurt. But you're saying, no, you're not. Just make sure you do it correctly, get a doctor to kind of help you.
Yeah, according to my coach, he started me after I did what I just told you. He had me run some just jogging, slow jogging, 800 meters, 1,000 meters, and sometimes, today you run 12 minutes, and you progress. So after about, it depends on each individual. I'm going to say, to me, it took me 3 months, but to somebody it could be less, or somebody else can be more, or it can be none. You just don't run at all. But you going through this exercise that I had just said, then the coach comes up to you, now we're going to start training you slowly.
That helps a lot. I have to say, before I give it back to Kyle to ask a couple of final questions, you were talking about kind of the fountain of youth. You were saying that one of the benefits of you staying healthy has been that you sometimes people say you look a lot younger than you actually are. You disagreed with that. You said you don't think you look younger, but I know I've met you in person. In fact, when we were in Italy, we even called you White Lightning because not only were you fast, but you were just handsome as heck.
That's so funny because when I went to the pin relays, some people call me White. I ran the 100. That's the only race I could run. They call me White Lightning. I says, "Man, what are you doing to me, Andy?" It's getting out there.
Yeah, we're going to make sure that name sticks.
Hey, just one more question for you, Frank, as we kind of wrap things up. We've talked a little bit about your early days of competition, and then we were able to focus in on that amazing opportunity in Italy at the World Masters Games. But share with us one memory that you have from the Huntsman World Senior Games that has kind of stood out in your mind.
Well, a meet like the Huntsman game, where you have, thousands of athletes, 50 states, and so many countries, probably 25 to 30, how could you not like coming here every year? I had never heard the Huntsman's Games until it was just an accident we ended up there. From that point, not only me, but my wife says, guess what? We're going to come here every year because you meet so many people there from all over the world. And St. George, it's a little city where you run into so many athletes wherever you stay, wherever you eat, and everybody is so friendly. Everyone there, the Huntsman Committee makes it so easy for you to get around to wherever you're going. And they provide chiropractors and other things when you're injured. You go in there and they fix you up and you're ready. It's like your place is also run like the Olympics. The opening ceremonies is not to be missed. It is so well done. It seems like every child in St. George participates, And the thing is so great. You see the parachutes coming down. The flights of every country are moving around with all the kids. It's something. It's a sight to behold. The entertainment is phenomenal.
It's a great event, Frank, and thank you for being a part of it. We sure appreciate it. That's all the time that we have for today.
Okay.
But we want to invite you to join us next Thursday. Yeah, we want to have you invite you to join us next Thursday and every Thursday for the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. And if you have any questions about the games in general, you can visit us on our website at www.seniorgames.net. A closing thought for your day: I remember the good old days when snap, crackle, and pop were sounds I heard from my cereal and not from my body. Not from my body. Not from my body. Not from